Yeah. Wait, let me
I'll
explain
awkwardly.
Oh.
Hi, and welcome to our YouTube live discussion with the Potterheads about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
I'll awkwardly.
All right, go ahead, guys. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Julia from Hufflepuff.
I'm Carol. I'm a Ravenclaw.
I'm Emma. I'm from Slytherin.
I'm Kate, and I'm from Gryffindor.
Oh, we all said.
We got all 4 houses today.
Woo!
Oh, I'm right.
You're actually all in
Resurrected.
except for Kate. and-
Okay.
Switch that.
No,
That's
let's
kind of late for that.
That's so much.
All right. Who wants to start? Where do you want to go? You want to give a brief summary of the book without jumping straight to the conclusion this time?
Define summary of the book without jumping to the conclusion.
Just brief talking points.
No. I don't remember any of it.
Okay, I'll go to the beginning. Okay, so in the beginning, Harry is gonna go to Hogwarts, and okay, never mind. Okay, so, Harry's Aunt Marge comes over, and she comes over, and they stay for a week. Harry hated Aunt Marge because she always found a way to pick on him. And so she makes a comment about how, what was it? Oh my gosh, okay, wait.
Harry's parents.
Yeah.
Harry's family's white trash.
Yeah, basically, and it travels in
That
the
is a
blood.
great
And
summary.
it goes through the offspring too. So, yeah, and he gets really mad, and he accidentally makes her go up like a balloon and fly away. And then he decides to hurry up, grab his stuff, and get out of the house. And he's about to cast some kind of spell because he figures he's already going to get kicked out of Hogwarts. And the night bus shows up and picks him up. And then it takes him to Diagon Alley. And that's where he finds the Minister of Magic. And he thinks that he's going to tell him that he's suspended from Hogwarts. But he's actually not. And the Minister of Magic is actually kind of happy to see him and offers him to stay in the Leaky Cauldron.
I only know how it ends. I don't remember how it starts. I'm sorry.
You can spoil everything when we get to
Okay.
the end of our discussion.
I only know this chapter. This book is about. It has the Dementors in it.
Yes.
Can I say that, or should we go?
No, we can talk. Well, let's start with Aunt Marge then.
Yeah.
Why does I guess what does Harry do that ends up causing such a problem that he's afraid that he's going to be expelled?
He blows up
He
Aunt Marge.
performs magic outside of Hogwarts School.
What does he do to Aunt Marge?
Blows her up and she flies away.
Yeah.
Well, in the movie, it shows her outside and she goes in the air.
Maybe I thought she turned
Oh,
into
yeah.
a pig.
I don't
But I realized that's
No, that's
Dudley.
Dudley. He gets a pigtail.
Moving on.
Okay, so what is the big significance of Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, why does he take such a special interest in Harry? What's the big issue that's going on?
Because Sirius Black escaped from Azkaban, and he was worried that since Harry was outside by himself, that he might have Sirius Black might have caught him and taken him and tried to kill him.
Do you want to take a sidestep and discuss why Sirius Black is such a terrible person?
Well, supposedly, it is rumored that Sirius Black is the one that betrayed Harry's parents to Voldemort. But in reality, it turns out he's innocent. You won't find out who it is until towards the end of the discussion. He betrayed them. And he is currently on the run.
Okay, where did he escape from?
Azkaban prison.
And what is so scary about Azkaban prison?
I would probably.
Do you want to jump in?
No.
What's so scary about Azkaban
At
prison?
Azkaban, all the cells are guarded by Dementors, which are a type of creature that basically drain you of all your happy memories. So the prisoners really have no life
And what's so scary about Sirius Black being? What was so scary about him being in Azkaban? Because the Dementors had 0.
They didn't affect him.
Thank you.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that
Yeah.
because it also brings up another part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were trying to go there or not.
Well, I mean, that's discussed towards the middle of the book, so.
that part. Okay, I was thinking of how
No.
he escaped.
Not how he escaped, just the
That's
fact
what I was
that
thinking.
everybody was scared of him because the
He wasn't
prisoners
affected.
weren't affected. Or he wasn't affected by the Dementors.
Okay, next question.
Sure.
Oh, we should talk about the Dementor's kiss. Should we talk about
Sure,
that?
Yeah.
That's in the next question.
Why did the Dementors affect Harry so strongly? Discuss their method of controlling prisoners in Azkaban. Why is Dumbledore opposed to the Ministry's use of Dementors? What is the effect of the Dementor's kiss?
Okay. To answer the first part of this question, the Dementors affect Harry strongly because he, at a younger age, he had a traumatic experience, so they still hold some effect on him, even though it's been a very long time.
Yeah, and even so, and he has a lot of happy memories that kind of distract him from that. So when they drain all of his happy memories away, he's left with his parents' death and being lied to and never actually being able to see them. And he keeps hearing like his mother and stuff, which makes it even worse.
Okay. The mother's last word. What do they mean by method of control?
So why didn't Dumbledore like the use of the Dementors, especially at Hogwarts?
I don't remember. To the ministries.
I think it was because, like when the Dementors drain all the happiness, it kind of brings out like the worst in people when they're around, and also frightens everybody. And
Dangerous.
yeah, they're kind of dangerous all around because, especially like during the Quidditch match, how they came in and then they started feeding on everybody's happy and positive.
They're just really unpredictable, and there's really no reason to have them at Hogwarts.
Basically, they're parasites.
There you go.
Dementor's kiss. Would you like
Yeah.
to explain the Dementor's kiss?
Sure. Basically, the Dementors, when they kiss someone, they basically suck out their soul.
Great.
How cheery is that?
Yeah. And like basically what they're left with is they're not really a person, they're kind of like a shell of a person that's living, and it's depressing.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, okay.
So did we want to talk about some of the new teachers? Like for instance, Hagrid has a larger role this year. Some of the other new teachers that have come about, what they're like.
Okay, so the 3 of the new teachers for Harry's year is Hagrid's Care of Magical Creatures, Lupin's Defense Against the Dark Art, which I like to call Dada, and Trelawney's Divination class. I call it Dada, and I shorten it as Dada, therefore I will say it's Dada.
Yeah, that works.
Hagrid's Care of Magical Creatures, a lot of it is spent outside in the forest, and I know there was one point where Hagrid introduced them to Buckbeak, who was a hippogriff, and Harry got to ride on Buckbeak while Draco disrespected him, so he got his butt kicked.
And
his arm ripped.
he couldn't use his arm for a couple of months after that.
Quidditch match?
Yeah.
What? For the Quidditch match?
What?
Okay.
And then in Lupin's Defense Against the Dark Arts, who was the teacher before him?
Our
Lockhart.
favorite.
Lupin.
Jordan
Wait,
Lockhart.
No, he was after him, right?
No.
No.
No,
No.
before.
Oh, it's my
Give
least
to it.
favorite. He's my least favorite.
Our absolute favorite.
Oh, I was watching him today. He played some dude in Hamlet. And we were watching him in Shakespeare stuff. Moving back to Harry Potter.
Okay, we need to focus.
Okay, Lupin's class. One of the creatures he taught them about was the boggart. Would anyone like to explain boggarts?
Oh, boggarts basically turn into your worst fear for Harry. Lupin thought it was going to be Voldemort, and he didn't want Voldemort to be back, so he wouldn't let him do it. But Harry actually, his worst fear at the time was the Dementor because it made him listen to his mom, and he was really scared of it. And basically, the way to defeat a not a Dementor, a boggart was to make them like your fears seem funny. So like Neville, his worst fear was Snape, so we had him dressed in his granny's
So you
clothes.
cast the spell
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. Basically.
And also in that section, when Harry goes up, Lupin steps in front of him, and we get a glimpse of his boggart,
Which is a moon.
which is the full moon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I already did.
That's fine. Everybody who's watching this was supposed to have
There's
read this
all-
book already, so
What
it's
were
fine.
the other creatures they did? There was another one, like the flaming bird people. That's not what they're called.
Vilas?
Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Trelawney's class?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trelawney's class was basically like sidekick and like telling the future and telling like she just told about aura and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cheryl, you mind.
So,
So,
one thing they did was reading tea leaves, and Trelawney also talked to Harry, asking him if he was born in midwinter, I think. Maybe. And talked about how he was going to die.
That part she did, but
He was talking about, I think, he didn't add in the teacups, but she was like, were you born in the midwinter?
oh maybe.
And that was, I don't know if I want to say it.
I don't remember that.
No, don't. You just pass over that for now.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically Trelawney said, "You're gonna die, Harry," and she also said that Hermione had no respect for any kind of fortune-telling power, which made her storm out of his room. Yeah.
Oh, what's going on with Hermione in this book? What's the special thing going on with Hermione?
she has multiple classes, and she's using a time turner
That's awfully convenient.
to get to them. It plays an important part later on in the book.
So what is it? What does the time turner do exactly?
Well, depending on how many times you turn it, it takes you back that number of hours to. I'm sure that's what I'm looking for.
Back in time, so
Yes.
that she can retake another class during the same hour or something like that.
Right.
What are the skills that each teacher brings to his or her subject, and what skills do the students learn best from each of them? Did we cover that?
Well, in Lupin's defense against the dark arts class, he didn't necessarily learn this from his class, but he learned how to conjure his Patronus from Lupin, which he eventually used later in the book, but he used it during a Quidditch match. It didn't fully work, but he at least was able to control the voices in his head in one of the Quidditch matches.
What else is important about Defense Against Dark Arts? It's the fact that they're just learning anything this year.
Yeah. I like that the teacher actually knows stuff and isn't faking it all.
I think it was that instead of doing textbook work, they were physically learning from Lupin.
Which made who unhappy?
Snape.
A lot of people.
Snape was really mad, and he subbed for Lupin's class one time, and made them write an essay about werewolves, and it's important because Hermione finds out. Should I talk about this yet?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, Hermione finds out that Lupin is a werewolf because she had read the material, done her essay, even though when Lupin came back, he said he didn't have to do it. And she found out that Lupin was a werewolf and kept it a secret for a while until the end of the book.
Did they learn any important skills in divination class?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only
They got to drink a lot of tea at least.
Yeah.
the only
Be
important
very
thing.
hyper.
Yeah, the only important thing that really happened in her class was when she went all rigid and then said that Voldemort's spy is coming to help him. He will rise again, but she didn't have any recollection of it. Nobody else was in the room besides for Harry. So yeah, she has visions.
Okay, so the next, let's skip 5 and talk about 6 first before, because 5 kind of spoils 6. So let's talk about 6 first.
Ooh.
So why is Scabbers a good name for Ron's rat?
Probably because he's ill and very pathetic.
Wait, that one can't.
Why is a rat a suitable animal? Oh, sorry. What? Why is a rat a suitable animal for Pettigrew to assume? And if you didn't know this, Pettigrew is the rat who was in hiding. He was what are they called?
Marauders.
Yes. Yeah. He was an illegal one. It was a group of pens. It was Harry's dad, James, Pettigrew, and
Lupin
Lupin
and Sirius.
and Sirius. Was it Sirius?
It was Sirius.
Yes.
It's very serious.
This is very serious.
And they would transform into their animal, and they would since Lupin was a werewolf, he was attracted to humans and wanted to kill them, but he wasn't attracted to animals as much. So his friends would transform into animals and kind of just hang out with him and have a good time, which did a lot for Lupin, helped him and stuff, and showed that his friends didn't care about what he was because he was still their friend.
Wait a minute.
So what else is significant about Lupin and Pettigrew and the rest of their gang? What did they create?
The Marauders map.
Which has what?
Shows where people are, and so you can tell, and then you wave your wand and say something, and it
I
disappears.
solemnly swear that I am
Nope, nope,
No
nope.
good.
and then mischief managed. Why do I know that? But not any of the other stuff.
Because that's the fun part.
I have a T-shirt that says it, so it's hard to forget sometimes.
No, but the map only shows one place, right? Or does
It
it show
shows-
multiple?
I know it does show all of Hogwarts at least when
Yeah.
he uses it.
And it shows the secret passages. Some of them, the hall keeper, whatever his name is. Filch,
Yeah.
yeah, Filch. Some of the passages Filch doesn't know about.
I just called him Mr. Grumpy with the cat. Sorry. So yeah. No, I shouldn't say that. Okay.
But so it shows Hogwarts, it shows the layout of Hogwarts, but what else does it show it shows the secret passageways in and out of Hogwarts, but what else does it show within the map? What do you get to see?
It shows what people are doing.
Yes. So
Or
it
at least
shows
where they are, yeah.
where they are in the building, which is very helpful if you're Harry and Ron and trying to sneak around in the hallways after hours to save the world. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so since we know that Pettigrew is Scabbers the rat, how did that end up affecting him? Because he ended up spending 12 years hiding as a rat and living in the Weasley family, basically. So how did those years affect him? How was he as a person when he stopped being a rat?
Or
Well, he wasn't a good person to begin with.
No, he was kind of just changed. He had habits that he had from being a rat, and he just kind of kept himself And then what else was there? One of his fingers was cut off because he had cut it off when he was transforming into his rat to go into hiding. That was one of the reasons how Sirius knew that it was him.
So Sirius was stuck in Azkaban then for 12 years. How did that affect him? How was his mental state after escaping?
I would probably say crazed and strained, and shaken.
Do we know why Sirius was able to survive in Azkaban? What did he do?
He was able to use his animagus skills and turn into a dog so that the Dementors couldn't affect him.
Yeah, and like his one thought that he had, like that just kept him going, wasn't a happy thought. It was just like a thought. So the Dementors couldn't take it away from him because it didn't really give him any hope either. It kind of was just, I gotta do this.
So how does Harry originally find out about Sirius Black?
It was at what was the place? The Leaky Cauldron. So he was there with Hermione and Ron, and he was there, and then a bunch of like the Minister of Magic and a couple of the teachers were there, and he had to hide under the table because he didn't want them to see him because he wasn't allowed out of Hogwarts because into Hogsmeade it wasn't in the Leaky Cauldron.
3 broomsticks.
Broomsticks, okay.
The 3 broomsticks.
Yeah, 3 broomsticks, and he was under the table, and the teachers were there, and he overheard them saying that like he was after Sirius was after Harry, but he never knew that Sirius was his godfather until he told him.
So what was the significance about hiding under the table? What did he find out? What did everybody believe that Sirius had done?
Killed 50 innocent people along with killing Peter Pettigrew,
And also
Harry's parents.
revealed the location of where Harry's parents were hiding. So what ends up happening when, do you want to spoil it now?
I forgot what I was supposed to spoil, so no. I don't remember. It's been so long.
The big event is what ends up happening. So Scabbers becomes Peter Pettigrew. Sirius finds Harry. We find out what actually happened 12 years ago.
Yeah, so we find out what actually happened 12 years ago. So it was like a big like thing and like between like their friends and stuff, like nobody trusted each other. So when it came time for Harry's parents to go into hiding, they had to pick somebody to become their secret keeper to tell them. And the only way they'd be found is if somebody told them where they were. And everybody thought that the person who was a secret keeper was Sirius, but it ended up being Peter Pettigrew because Sirius had convinced James and his wife to have Peter Pettigrew be the secret keeper. So it was kind of unexpected. Most people would expect it to be Sirius, and he wanted that because otherwise Voldemort, who was really powerful at the time, would have come to him. And little did they know that, because they thought that the spy was Lupin at the time, and ended up being Peter Pettigrew, which meant that he knew their location, which meant he could have gone to kill them.
Okay, so instead of Peter going to kill them, though, he reveals their location to Voldemort, which means that Voldemort goes and kills
Harry's parents and tries to kill Harry.
Tries to kill Harry, and then who ends up coming?
Sirius. because he found out that Pettigrew was a spy, and he went to go and warn them, but he was too late, and ended up being at the scene, which kind of placed him there.
Mhm.
So it kind of framed him.
And then what happens in the battle between him and Peter?
Oh, so Peter Pettigrew, he cast some kind of spell or something, I don't remember what it was, and then he ended up killing 50 people, and he transformed into his, is it called an animagus?
Yes.
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 And he transformed into this animagus, and which is a rat, and cut off one of his fingers just before, let it fall into the ground so that it would have looked like all that was left of him was his finger. And when he turned into the rat, there's only one finger. There's a finger missing on the rat. And he went into hiding and then eventually found the Weasleys.
Okay, we have just a few minutes. Any last thoughts? Any last things that we need to talk about? I mean, we ought to talk about Quidditch real quick too.
Mhm. I was thinking the Time Turner and the Dementors.
Fake Dementor.
Well, I think I'll start with the Time Turner. Harry and Hermione decide to use the Time Turner to go back in time to save not only Sirius Black from the Dementors, but also Buckbeak from his execution, which they do succeed. Anyone else want to talk?
Anything? Well, so Sirius Black said that Harry could come and live with him over the summer, but since they had saved Sirius, him and Buckbeak had to go into hiding, so he ended up going back to Dursley's at the end of the story.
Which Harry didn't really care about.
No, because
Because he was so happy.
yeah, he was so happy that Sirius had escaped.
Can we talk about that Quidditch match where Malfoy pretended to be a Dementor?
Sure.
Would you like to talk about it?
So first off, what's significant about the broom that Harry has during that Quidditch match?
Oh, it was gifted to him.
It's from
Sirius Black.
It's
Sirius.
anonymously sent from
Yeah.
Sirius Black.
And Hermione had told Professor McGonagall that he had gotten anonymously sent a broom, so she wanted it to be checked for bewitchings. And he ended up not having it for a very long time, but he luckily got it back for the match with the Slytherins.
So then during the Quidditch match, while he's riding his firebolt, which is his brand new broom, what happens?
Malfoy comes on the field pretending to be a Dementor, and Harry says, Expecto Patronum, and then Malfoy gets hit, and then I bet you he regrets it
I bet.
because he's probably in pain. I hate him being because I'm mistaken.
Okay.
So is me.
Any final thoughts? Who wins the Quidditch Cup this year?
The Gryffindors. And Wood is finally happy that he won.
Who wins the House Cup this year?
I wonder why.
It's Harry.
All right. So who wants to do next video announcement?
Oh, so our next book we'll be reading is
Goblet of Fire.
The Goblet of Fire. It's gonna be on February 2nd, so make sure you read it
And then we're going
February
to be
6th,
posting our discussion video live stream thingy bobber
at 4:00 Wednesday.
February 6th.
Yes. Make sure you check it out at your local library.
On your local YouTube.
Bye!
Bye.
Are you sure?